All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Heal. My name is Maria Sellars, and I am your host as we go along this journey. Today, I'm so honored to have the opportunity to have Rachel Chase on the show with me today. Rachel is just amazing. She was a part of the Central Florida community for a really long time, so I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for being on.
Yay, I am so happy to be here. Thank you, Maria.
Yes, so good. Rachel, it's so funny. For years within the community, when she was still based out of Florida, people would say to me, like, you don't know Rachel Chase? You don't know Rachel Chase? And we were connected on Facebook, Instagram, but I was like, no, I've never actually met her. So finally, one day I just sent her a message. I'm like, okay, look, the last person has asked me now if I know you. So clearly we need to meet and connect. And I'm just so glad that we did. So Rachel.
Oh, me too. I was so excited to get that message. I'm like, yes, well, we obviously have lifetimes we need to catch up on.
Yes, exactly. Gosh, that was, what year? That must have been 2019. So
I think it's 4 years ago. Yep.
Yeah, because when did you move?
2020, October.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Wow. Mm-hmm. Time flies.
It does.
Oh, has it been that long?
It sure does.
Well, thank you so much. Oops, let me just pull this up real quick.
Yeah, it's so amazing to be here with you, Maria. I'm so excited.
Oh, I am honestly so excited. And everybody, be excited for this episode too, because Rachel, if you don't know her, is an integrative healer, counselor, coach, and guide. She has taught various forms of visual and performing arts for over 30 years. Rachel sees life as a sacred practice and loves to inspire others to awaken their spirit through play, compassion, and self-expression. Her experience as a mindfulness-focused, trauma-informed mental health counselor inspired her to create an online healing and coaching business in 2020. She has trained extensively in various forms of yoga and meditation for over 20 years and is also a Reiki master teacher since 2010. Recently, she has created an online course called REPLENISH for sensitive spiritual creatives and healers. It is a step-by-step journey that helps empaths like you recover from energy depletion, burnout, and overgiving. Since 2019, Rachel has been deepening her mastery as a quantum healing practitioner, using QHHT and BQH as templates for her unique integrative quantum healing hypnosis process. Oh, so good. Rachel, thank you for being here. Please tell us what the heal is going on in your world.
Oh, what the heal is going on? Everything, right? Oh, everything. Well, obviously, I mean, if we're talking about the present moment, we have a gigantic energy coming in with this full moon and the Mercury retrograde and the eclipse season, right?
Hold on.
Everybody's feeling it.
Yes.
But, these are all opportunities, right? These crossroads, I see them as these pivotal moments. And so, well, right now I'm at a pivotal moment. My husband and I, when we moved to Washington State in 2020 from Orlando, where you are, we have been on a soul journey, a sojourn of healing, and also really deepening in our creative endeavors and projects, and communing with these amazing mountains, Olympic mountains, and the woods here, the forest. I mean, coming from Florida, Florida has natural beauty, wondrousness. The East Coast, beautiful, so much natural beauty everywhere. But I had not encountered what is going on here with these huge trees.
Yes.
They're huge.
Right. It's not just the mountains that are huge, it's the trees. And yeah, that is so beautiful to be held in that space.
Totally. To be held in their energy and their consciousness. The trees have a consciousness to them. And I know that you can really tune in with that when you're in nature. And I think that having this opportunity to be, we're way out from the city. My life for these past few years has really been just kind of an unplugging in a way, although my online business, I'm plugged in. But in the rest of my days is spent very much in just communing out here with these trees. And I just feel like there's a deepening understanding of the consciousness of Earth herself, that there's this healing that we can get when we start to have actual conversations with nature, actual like speaking and listening and leaning into the what's possible when we do that. And I feel like I've gotten younger since I moved. I feel like I'm age reversing somehow.
Yeah, this
in
vibrancy
nature.
that you're getting from them. Yeah. I can see that.
And I know you love to travel too, and I know nature is a big thing for you
It's
too. And I think
huge.
for healers in general,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Oh my gosh, it's one of the most important things that I do to replenish myself. My body's like, you need mountains, I'm tapped into that because I need to just connect with that potential that they have. And nature does talk. The studies that are done, the study with the plants that they did,
Yes.
It's like they talk and they receive too, right? And so you think about the study where they had, the plants in two different cases at the elementary school, and one plant was being fed compliments and one plant was being fed, negativity and bullying. And the one that was getting all of that uplifting positivity was flourishing and thriving and looking so beautiful. And, the one that was getting all of the bullying was just wilted and sad. It was a sad plant, So that study, I feel like, is so basic, but it shows you that there is plant potential. What that...
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. I love that plant potential. It's like, it makes me think of a session I actually just had with a client today. We had a conversation recently and then we met up today, and just looking at how the human body is like that. We are like the plants, and if you're looking at the patterns of people's lives, and as a child, if the child is maybe shamed or told not to trust themselves, or that they can't trust their intuition, or that they're not, what they're thinking about, what they're feeling isn't right or true, then they have this pattern in place as they get older and older, that they can't trust themselves, and that their body signals get all crossed and confused and depleted, and the immune system gets depleted. But if they start to undo that on their own, and this process of undoing harm, because that can totally be done. Right. I know you see that all the time in your work, body work and the healing work that you do, that people come in and maybe think, I'm broken. I'll never, it's all, it's too far gone. And oh no, what am I going to do? But it's really just takes some subtle shifts in awareness and focus, and just changing some of those habits that at first might feel a little hard to change, right? Like how we talk to ourselves,
yes,
the things we think about all the time, living all up in the head all the time, and just kind of retraining yourself to get into the body more, to be more focused on the feelings of the emotions that are coming, and allowing them to have their space and be totally validated that having those emotions is okay. We don't have to overanalyze them all the time, or figure them all out, or like get rid of them, or any of that. We can just literally go down in the body, take those breaths, and like breathe and make sound, so that those emotions can move. And then it's like, oh, there is a place inside of me that feels calm and peaceful that I can access, and then increase that energy. And just doing that is like, the reversal. Those two plants, the one's getting the kindness and the compassion, the other one's getting the bullying. It's the same with like how we treat ourselves, right? So if we're bullying ourselves and all that judgment, the system is going to start to break down. The biome, the body is not going to work properly.
Yeah, how can it? Like we're telling it it's broken.
Yes, and it believes it. because what else is it going to believe? Because it's you.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and just the undoing of that and how beautiful that is. And that's so interesting that we start talking about nature and then understanding the nature of the mind and the self and how we treat that. We are nature.
Yes.
Well, you know, and it's just so amazing when those insights come through. And I feel like just that fundamental thing of permission to feel, that phrase that's around, that's so important, feel it to heal it. It's like you don't necessarily have to force the healing. If you can kind of lean back and allow those feelings to just be moved through the body as just sensations, and maybe it's intense, but you breathe through it, like match the intensity with the breath, you know. And then you can do all that fun exploring multidimensional realms and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah, but it's so true. It's like get in the body and get out of your head, because so many people are just stuck in that thought loop cycle in their head, overanalyzing everything and not ever allowing themselves to feel anything. It's all just the mental that they're working with. And then they continue to go into that thought loop over and over again. And what is it that when you... if you haven't allowed yourself to feel through that emotion and you just think about it or even talk about it, every time that happens, your emotional response is actually stronger. So if there's a situation that, you know, brought up a lot of anxiety and things like that, until you really allow yourself to feel through that, instead of just, you know, talk, and amplify the energy of that emotion, it just keeps getting stronger. But when you allow yourself to feel it, to move it through, then we don't get stuck in that same continuation.
That's right. That loop, you get out of the loop and you can move through it into the other side. I mean, you know, I can relate to that overanalyzing. When I was younger, that was where I was at for a while, like, because that's all I knew. Right. You know, that's all I knew. That's what I was shown as a child. That's what I learned. That's what so many of us are conditioned into. It's all about the left brain and the logical and the analyzing and the, you know, got to figure it out. Well, it, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying it's not a good idea to know where things come from. Mm-hmm. That's important. But to get out of those loops, because that's what causes so much stress and anxiety for so many people. How do I get out of my head? I'm so stuck. It's about getting into the body and learning how to relax and doing all these great things like breath work and reiki and going to get, you know, be touched and body work and being in nature. And allowing nature to just take it for you.
And really being in nature, not just like, oh my gosh, I need to be, you know, sitting on my phone to get to, or just like hiking through really fast to get to a pretty spot and take pictures. Like, no, like enjoying that journey along the way. It's like not how fast can we get there. It's like how much can we enjoy the ride?
Slowing down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Learning how to slow down is so powerful. There's a fear of slowing down because sometimes I think, well, if I slow down, then I won't be able to get it all done. Mm-hmm. Everything I have to get done. You know, but the irony of that is when you slow down, then you have the head space, your head gets clearer. You notice what's around you more, the beauty that's there. You can actually see it. Yeah. You can recognize it. And then that gives you the energy you need to then do the things in a way that are more in alignment with what feels right for you. You know, for the person. Yeah. And slowing down in nature is so amazing. You see all the little magical things and you feel the energy of the nature, the Tao, you know, the natural energy comes into your body when you slow down.
And it's one of the most beautiful things. I'm not sure if when you started practicing yoga, I'm not sure what came first for you, yoga or meditation, but it was yoga for me. And Savasana, I was like, I would literally eyes open. I'm looking around the room like, these people aren't actually chilling and enjoying this. Like, come on now. Like, let's go back to the movement. But it was so funny. I literally would sit there with my eyes open. And nobody else had theirs open. And finally I was like, oh, wait, this is me.
How were they even able to do that?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. I was like, that's so weird. Now it's my favorite part.
totally, totally, totally. You know, it does take some time to get into it and be able to unwind all those layers, right? The
Yes.
layers of tension that the body holds, and that shielding, that armoring, right? That's like happens over time when, because of the stress or the traumas or the insecurities or the pattern, the conditioning of go, 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 go. It's so hard to just, you can't just go from going a million miles an hour to stop.
Right.
You know? So it does take some time to undo it. Yeah. For me, it was, I was a dancer first and foremost. For a long time. I started dancing very young, ballet, jazz, modern, tap. I did performed in the ballets and did dance competitions and all these things. And I got to a certain age and I was like, I'm not in this for competitiveness. I love this because of the feeling of it. It was like a spiritual practice for me. Dance was always my healing salve. And I had some injuries too. And that's how I got into yoga. I had a modern dance teacher who started doing some like Pilates, exercisey yoga in dance class at like age 15. And I was like, oh, this is cool. So I came at it from the physical first, which is very common for a lot of people. They get into it for the exercise value or the physical fitness or recovery. And then over time, yoga does what it does.
Yeah. If you let it.
If you let it, it helps you connect with yourself.
Yes.
It helps you peel off those layers and go into a deeper experience of just being with life itself, right? So, yeah, it was the physical and then the meditative for me. But once I got into the meditative, I was like, this is great. And that was my medicine, energy and Reiki really was like a gateway healing modality in 2002 for me when I had a major healing crisis and my body said, wake up call number million. It's time to take good care of yourself and find out how to do that.
It only took 1 million to get that?
Only 1.1 million. No, yeah.
Oh, tell us more about what that journey was like for you.
Oh, the wake up call. Yeah. So 2002, let's see, 27 at the time. For those of you who are into astrology and looking at human development through that lens, that time is known as your Saturn return. When all the lessons that you either have learned or haven't learned thus far are shown to you in a form of, oh, look, now you're graduating, or, oh, look, here's your big initiation point of what you need to do to transform, to really integrate what those lessons are that life has been trying to give to you. And I was very stubborn, very, very stubborn for a very long time. I'm definitely not stubborn anymore. No.
Universe, I hear you.
Universe is listening.
Yes.
The left side of my body went completely like numb and frozen. I was having a nervous system breakdown attack, essentially. It was like, wake up. It's time to take better care of yourself. I did get an MRI and they found a little swelling in my brain, a little lesion. And there was a possibility that I had MS, multiple sclerosis, based on the early prognosis kind of look into it. And I was scared to death. I was scared, you know what.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was already a very open-minded, curious person. I was already studying some Eastern philosophy. I had already been interested into understanding energy and the mind-body connection on the level of curiosity. I hadn't really delved into it yet to understand some deeper things, but I had started doing yoga already, and and as a dancer, you're in tune with your body, and so and an artist and just creative thinker. So I was already very much a consciousness explorer. And I thought, I know I can heal this. I can heal this. I got to figure this out. I got to heal this with my mind. I took a hard left out of the American Medical Association model and went the route of holistic. And I met some wonderful people who were very healthy living types, but still knew how to have a good time. At that point, I was like, you can have a good time and be healthy? How is that possible? What? So I thought, oh, wow, I can actually be around healthy people and have a good time. And they introduced me to a wonderful acupuncturist. And I was living in Tampa at the time. Dr. Eric, if you listen to this, shout outs, Dr. Eric Jarman, my wonderful acupuncturist doctor, who's just a wonderful being. Anyways, I learned so much from him. And also, I started learning about Reiki. I had a woman in my dance class I was teaching at a senior center, and I confided in her. She told me about Reiki, and she brought me to her Reiki teacher's home, and I started training with him. And acupuncture, herbs, Reiki, I quit smoking, and I cut way down on my drinking and drug intake. And, it took some time. I was 27, so it took a little time to undo things, but it worked. It did work. And I didn't think I was getting into Reiki to become a healer or a teacher, any of that. It was just purely, universe, help. And it did. And it did. And I received the help. And I've been on that journey ever since for 20 years. I'm 48 now. So.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. That initiation put me on my path as a healer and all the other things I do. So.
And it's such a testament to all the things that you do. You've worked on you. You are your biggest example, that you can bring forward. I mean, that's huge. Did you have a follow-up MRI? Did you still have, do you know, or?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I did not know.
Yeah.
I went with it. I went with the process, and the symptoms slowly resided, and I just trusted.
Totally. Yeah.
I just trusted. I just kept trusting all the way. And the biggest lesson is about energy, energy expenditure. How am I using my energy? Where am I putting my energy? What am I doing with it? And just radical self-care. It was news to me that I could actually do these things for myself.
Right. It's like self-care is our full-time job our whole life, and it's not anything that we're taught.
That's right. That's right. In the schools, you don't learn that in school.
No.
And so many don't have that information to share with their children either, and so
that's why I'm so passionate about this podcast, helping people to realize just how powerful, that their body is, that their healing potential is, and hearing stories like yours where they can connect and go, wait a minute, I'm not damned by this disorder, illness, disease that they've said that I'm going to be and have to be for the rest of my life. Like, wait, I can do something for myself. I have some power within this. So it's so huge.
I actually have a powerful mind, and my body has intrinsic energy. The DNA of your body has information that knows how to heal itself.
Yes. Yeah. Did you see the study?
It's all in there.
That they did in Harvard with a drop of DNA, and on a drop of DNA, they uploaded a book that they re-downloaded onto a computer perfectly, like 70 million times. This is a Harvard study. So DNA is very powerful. The potential, the information that it holds is so powerful. Like, yes, that's...
And if you can program DNA, you can program your own DNA.
Yes.
That's what I believe. The studies that are coming out are incredible. They're just not front page news yet.
Nobody
but they're
hears
out
them.
there.
Yes, exactly. So I'm glad that came up, because I read that one recently and I was like, what? Mind blown.
Yes, they say it can store. Did you know that Google is actually an amount, like 1 trillion so it can hold Googles of data?
Yeah.
Which is
they're actually looking at creating
amount.
synthetic DNA to move clouds and all of that too, because it's a single teeny drop that can take what is now information that has to be in rooms, they can do in a little drop. So I was like, oh my
A drop
gosh.
of DNA. And that's in our bodies.
And that's in our bodies.
Biological. It's amazing.
Programmable. Like they uploaded, reloaded. So yeah, it's totally fascinating.
It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. And when we get into that level of awareness and understanding it, things, now we're talking on the quantum level. We're starting to speak in terms of the mind and consciousness that it's instantaneous. So if you can go into that place in your mind and start to understand that, okay, I'm putting myself in my DNA right now, and I'm creating an image of perfect health and wholeness. And I'm holding that steady in my mind. Just imagine, and I think that's going to take a leap for some people to get there, but that's okay. It takes time to really get to that point where it's real for you.
Yeah.
But I see incredible healing happen all the time in that it's about possibility and tapping into understanding what is possible. And once you start to remember that everything's possible, you can pull from that quantum field and tap into it for that healing. And all these modalities, like, that we've talked about already, can do that for us and help us and help people do it every day, all day long.
Yeah, it's the things that I see. There was a guest I had on a couple of weeks ago, and she did visualized a surgery happening on something that they said she'd need surgery before, and she visualized the surgery actually happening and passed me the scalpel and went through and mentally did this surgery. And she was unable, I want to say she wasn't unable to walk. She had just had so much going on, and did the surgery on herself, and she's walking around just fine today.
Oh my gosh. That's so powerful. It's so powerful. That's what, then, back to when I had my healing crisis, and I decided, and I knew, and I thought to myself, I know I can heal my body with my mind. I actually went online and did a whole ton of research on what is MS actually, which it's not any one thing. The thing about these autoimmune disorders, or they say it's your immune system attacking your nervous system. That's actually not what's going on. That's just a phrase that's been thrown around there. The thing about it, we have the neurons, right? And around the nerve cells, there's a sheath that you've probably heard of, the myelin sheath, right? That it's like a little, I like to think of analogy as a speaker wire. You know how you have the wire, but then around it, there's that
the
plastic, rubber, it's to keep it grounded so that you don't touch the wire directly. So our nerve cells have the same thing, a little coating of protection. And there's these little battery cells that are part of that charge and keep the nerve cells going. So that in terms of Reiki, when we think about channeling the energy and fueling up our bodies with that energy, as though sort of like we kind of have a finite amount of energy, but we can tap into the infinite and power ourselves up. The little battery cells, the myelin sheath breaks down. So I did a ton of visualization where I brought in the energy and I directed it straight to my neurons, and I imagined the myelin sheath growing back around it. And then I imagined that the neuroplasticity. So I did all this research so you can get this awareness, understand, okay, there's neuroplasticity. Your cells can regenerate. So I'm going to direct my visualizations to actually do that with my mind. And that was a big part of my personal practice. Nobody taught me that. I just decided to do that.
And for those people who don't know what neuroplasticity is, I think that's a really good point. So explain that for them, because having that understanding really helps with what you just said.
Well, the thing about, if you think about bones are really dense and hard, right? Then you go down into the levels of if you look at your skin and you touch it, it's kind of mushy, right? It has some plasticity to it, doesn't it? You can pull on it and move it around. That's the word plasticity. It's malleable. It can expand and contract like rubber band, And so our nerves are like little little jelly things. And the cells can actually reform and restructure themselves and create new ways around things. And they do that all the time.
All the time.
Like, for example, that lesion that may or may not still even be there. I have no idea. Doesn't really matter to me if it is or not. I'm fine.
Right.
The nerves can say, oh, well, we don't go that way anymore. So now we're going to direct the message a different way and around and create a new pathway and actually grow new cells and move them around and move the energy in a new way, move the growth, I should say, in a new way. So they're flexible. Like, sure, we can go this way or we can go that way.
Yes.
Not like bones are more structural. They're like, well, no, your arm bone's going to be on this side and your other, but with nerves, it's different. They can move and change their shape and form
and that's so huge for people to understand that, these things are changeable. We're not set and stuck in these diseases or illnesses that we think that we are. There's a lot that you can do on your own because of that. So, such a great point. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah, It's amazing. It's amazing. Our bodies are creative. That's how I see it from an artistic perspective, and they do it. If the energy of play is powerful for me too, because if you invite more play into your life, you're sending a signal to your body that it can be flexible too, and not so rigid. So
rigid and serious. I was actually just thinking about that on my way to my networking meeting earlier. It's like just how adults feel, that they can only be so serious all the time. And it's like, no, have fucking fun. Like, life is meant to be enjoyed, play, laugh, do those things. It's so important.
It's so true. It's so true. Play is part of who we are, no matter what age we are, and the seriousness can really put a damper on the enjoyment of life. Mm-hmm. It's definitely. Boy, that's a big one for me. Yeah. It's sad to see when people can, maybe like put themselves in a real world of hurt because they take everything a little too seriously.
Yeah.
And so we're here to inspire people to lighten up, aren't we, Maria?
Yes, live lighter, truly. Yeah, that's what I like to,
right.
That's my message I share with people. Like, life does not have to be heavy. Live lighter, y'all. You can, I swear.
Yeah, we go through hard things. It's not like we're living in denial that life can be hard.
Yeah.
That there's challenges and that you go through loss and grief and pain and hurt and all that. But you can also move through those things. You can also learn from those things. You can share those things with others. And that's a big part of it, too, is that we kind of hide those things and keep them tucked inside. And we don't want to burden others. And so we kind of trap them inside of ourselves. Or
we don't want others to think a certain way about us.
Talk about our stories. Yes. Then we can see that we're all have similar experiences.
It's so true. Yeah. And we think that it's like we isolate ourselves in that way and harbor all of that shame and guilt. And I can't let anybody see this. I'm too ashamed if anybody sees this. So you don't even think about it. But it's like in sharing and in connecting, there is so much value and there's so much healing that happens just from allowing yourself to be seen in that way and allowing yourself to speak these things. Like, it's your truth. You don't have to run from it.
That's right. It's such a relief to be able to do that in the space with others. And you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
That's a healing force. That's the healing force to know that we're not alone.
Yeah. And build those connections and go, wait, like, oh, you too. Oh my gosh, I never would have thought that. And I think, you do a great job of sharing your journey. And that's why people are always like, oh, you share a lot. I'm like, and it helps people in sharing. So I am so happy to be that open book and share with people and encourage and inspire them to grow along their way, because we all can do that. And you're a great example of
You
that too.
inspire me a lot, Maria. I love seeing how you share and hearing your stories that you share, and I can tell that it's both healing for you to do it, as well as coming from a place of helping others to see their light as well, and that it is possible to be able to move through these things. So inspiring. So inspiring.
Well, I feel the same way about you. You reflect the same, sister. That's for sure. Oh, thank you for
It's powerful.
listeners today who want to connect with you. I guess they're visitors too. Listeners today who want to connect with you. Where can they find you at?
Yes, to all the listeners and the visitors, it's great. You're welcome to reach out to me through my website, which is rachelchase.com. And all things on my website. So rachelchase.com. Thanks a lot, Maria.
Awesome. Listeners, please connect with Rachel if you've resonated with her. She is just an incredible wealth of knowledge and truly a healer in this world. So thank you for being on with us today, Rachel. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story and all you got going on with us.
My honor and pleasure, Maria. Such a gift to connect with you. Sending you lots of love.
Sending it right back. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You can like or follow or share this if you know somebody who this message will resonate with. And I can't wait to chat with you all next week.